name is Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop. And I have been watching Sandman. I don't normally do a binge watch. Yesterday was a Jewish fast. They went for 25 hours, and it was a nightmare, right? It's always a nightmare. It was a freaking nightmare. It's actually somewhat less severe than it is normally. Normally, I'll sit around and watch, like, Holocaust movies and stuff like that. As it was somewhat less severe this year, I thought, you know what? While I while away my time, I'm gonna binge watch Sandman. So impressed, so I was so impressed with it that I stopped three episodes in to do a review. I was going to do a review on the whole season, but I thought this is really too good to encapsulate in one review. And if I was going to try and encapsulate everything, that review will be about 3 hours long, right? It'll be absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, it was much better than I thought it would be. It's a near perfect adaptation, sadly made in 2022. When I say sadly, some of the misfire, some things which I thought was going to be a misfire, wasn't at all. I think Jenna Coleman as Constantine really genuinely worked. I really, and I think the reason it worked is because Coleman is a good enough actress that she rebuilt the character from scratch and she took all the iconic things about John Constantine, right, and then created a new character out of that. I mean, obviously there was a script as well, but generally speaking, really worked. However, there's another character, Lucian, the librarian of dreaming, played by Vivian Pong, if I'm pronouncing it right. Who she's not a bad actress, she's fine. She really just didn't have the chops to be able to sell the role to me. Like I didn't believe her in the role where I did believe Jenna Coleman, right? Like I did believe Lawrence Fishburne in the role of Perry White in the Superman movies. I didn't really buy Jeffrey Wright, and Jeffrey Wright's a great actor. Right, he's like just a phenomenally good actor in the role of Commissioner Gordon. So I'm not sure what it is. I think it might be that people subconsciously know when they're being tokenized, and I think that was the case with Jeffrey or Jodie Whittaker's Doctor Who. That's really the prime example, right, of somebody miscast based on identity. But generally speaking, I think that really uncomfortable stuff, which is very uncomfortable for me because I feel it's, rather than being anti-racist, is super duper racist, right? I really do. I just think it's horrible, right, to judge people by their identity, and even worse, to give them like a character hand-me-down, which we're gonna talk about in this review. I genuinely think that's off. I understand why it's happening. I think I understand quite deeply why it's happening. It's called white guilt, right? It's really, which is just replete throughout the entirety of the entertainment publishing world, right? And I think, honestly, there's a lot to be guilty for, but I don't think all white people need to be guilty, feel guilty about it. I just think the racist and sexist pieces of crap that make TV, which don't pretend to me they suddenly became virtuous in 2016. They've always been racist and sexist, right? So and then they got called out on it, and they go, oh no, not me, and they decided to do a lot of tokenism. So that's really an elephant in the room we need to talk about when we're going through reviews of this series, because a lot of it is just most of it, I will say 90%, and in these 3 episodes, 90% of it is flawless and perfect. I think yes, flawless and perfect. But boy, that stain on it really hurts. But again, when we get to that in the episode reviews, we will talk about it. Fine. Before we get into it, can you hit the like button, the share button, the subscribe button? All those things are very good. I am very grateful for you doing all of those things. If you disagree with me, right? Honestly, if you think I'm being racist, bigoted, whatever, come on. You can, if you want, you're welcome to come on my channel and we can have a conversation. I would like that a lot. I genuinely don't think I'm being racist or sexist, and I don't really respond well. People say, well, that's because you got unconscious bias. every human being is filled with unconscious bias, or much more conscious bias, but as the case may be. And it's not something that just infects white people, which again is a racist idea. But again, if you disagree with me, comment, let me know what you think. I will reply to you in comment. And when I say comment and disagree with me, don't go, oh, yeah, you're stinky pants, or just like stupid. Actually tell me why you disagree, which means you might have to think a little bit, which I understand, somewhat unpopular. But let me know what you think. You can come on the channel, put something in the comments. I will absolutely I endeavor to respond to you. I basically respond to everybody who comments. If your comment doesn't appear, YouTube thinks it's too inflammatory and will remove it. Not by me, right? I'm a believer in freedom of speech. Well, not an absolutist. I think the laws of libel are pretty good. Yeah, we should use those as a guide rather than what Twitter says. What Twitter says that morning, right? So like, share, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you think. Sign up my Substack, which is my email newsletter, where I put out comic books on that, but mostly I put out my my content here on YouTube and on Rumble. I will be banned at some point, so sign up to it. It's free and it tells you where you can find me. If everybody moves over to Rumble, I'll be very, very happy. And Rumble, I'm getting some traction on now. So if anybody wants to be really nice, head over there and hit the like button and subscribe me. That'd be great. If you want to sign up to my paid Substack, then I'm putting out a book right now, which I wrote and drew, very, very much based on the era that Sandman came out with in comics, which is really my prime my prime era of reading. I read Sandman as the issues came out, right? I was there at the dawn, right? So I'm putting out this book here, which you can see. There's a lot of stuff in it, which I kind of feel the same way. We kind of very, very heavily influenced by Sandman. One thing I'm a little bit miffed about is the lack of Dave McKean. Right, I really, in my fantasy of fantasies, I always thought a great Sandman adaptation would have opening titles by Dave McKean. He did something similar to that in, the 90s. He did a show called Neverwhere, and he did the titles on his Mac, right? And it came out fantastically. Look, but no, he's not there. In fact, the titles are a bit disappointing. It's just a bit of clouds and the Sandman logo, right? I like a good title sequence. I don't mind if you want to hit the skip titles. Hit the skip titles, right? I like a good titles and gets me in the mood for the show. Although again, I'm not really a binge watcher, which is why I guess the title sequence was not that necessary. Before we start, let's talk about Tom Sturridge, who is playing Morpheus, King of Dreams. Excellent, right? Just really, really excellent. I've never imagined this to be a hard role to cast, quite frankly. But genuinely, he's doing an absolutely great job. So if you do not know what Sandman is about, we're 3 episodes in already. So it's about the King of Dreams, right? The King of Dreams. He was entombed in the first episode for over 100 years, and he's broken out. And he had these 3 things he needs to get back: his pouch of sand, his helmet, and his ruby. I'm really hoping there's going to be a life-size helmet piece of merch coming out that looks awesome. And that I go through the entirety of this. It's a perfect recreation of the comic book, but done slightly better. If I can put it that way, it really is. I love the helm. So in episode 3, and his whole realm is destroyed, and he has to rebuild it. In episode 3, he meets Joanna Constantine, and not John Constantine, a gender swap of the character. But boy, it works as well as Starbuck did in Battlestar Galactica, if you get that reference, because I think it worked that well, because Jenna Coleman, excellent, right? Freaking excellent in this. So anyway, so he's got his bag of sand back. There's a real heartbreaking bit in episode 2 where he needs to absorb the power from a gargoyle he created, who's like a friendly little puppy dog. I was like, oh my god, because I'm a huge dog lover. I really am. I'm an animal lover in general, because they're very nice, And that was just really heart-wrenching. But yes, a lot of this is fantastic. So this is an episode I was really excited for. A Hope in Hell. So Hope in Hell was the issue in which the initial artist left in the middle, right? I can't, who was it? It was like Jones the Third. Here, let me see if they got. I'm looking at the Wikipedia page. Is it Sam Keith or Mike Dryberg? I think Mike Dryberg takes over. Yeah, Mike Dryberg takes over this issue. I think Sam Keith was the initial artist, right? And the Sam Keith, he says he left because it just didn't feel right. It felt like Hendrix playing with the Beatles. That sounds pretty good to me, but but he leaves this issue in the initial comic, and you notice because like his way of doing this like fly demon is like a big fly head with a couple of big feet coming out of it, and it really didn't work well. And then you have this like when whoever it is takes over, it looks a lot better, a lot creepier. So what happens in this episode is he now goes to hell to try and retrieve his helm. His big helmet, which looks again freaking awesome. So here we have another gender swap, again, which works 100%. Why does it work 100%? Gwendolyn Christie, right? Here's the thing. This I spoke about this in my last review. What is the problem with gender swaps in general? It's that men and women are different. Equal, no one's superior to any other. All peoples are intrinsically equal, but men and women are unique and different. And if you do what they did with Lucian, which is basically you get a woman wearing a hand-me-down, and it feels like it, it looks like it doesn't feel like an organic character. However, here Gwendolyn Christie as Lucifer, the King of Hell, freaking awesome. Like absolutely awesome. She really nails it. I would like to see more of her. In fact, in general, I'm up to episodes. I finished episode 7. I've got 3 more to go. But for a second season, which there's going to be a second season because it's doing very well, and I'm very glad it's doing very well. Rather than doing one of the story arcs, I would love them if they did a season of those individual stories. Like they did ones. They did like a bunch of I think 5 issues about August. You're right, calling it different things. Or the Midsummer Night's Dream issue, which is fantastic. There's so many great. Ramadan. Oh man, please, Netflix do the Ramadan issue, which is insanely good, right? Oh man, I do hope they do it. I hope they do a whole season of standalones because that's one of the great things about Sandman. Anyway, I digress. We're not in the standalone. Hope in Hell. So Sandman has to go to hell. Morpheus has to go to hell to retrieve his helm, and a demon's got it. A reasonable recreation of the comic book version of it. Which not quite as good, right? He had like 2 mouths or something. I can't remember it in the comic book. But and now he's fighting against Lucifer instead of fighting against the demon, because the demon chooses Lucifer. And it's a really clever conceptual battle where where one person takes on the identity of one thing, like I'm a what was it? I'm a horse. He's a knight on a horse, and then Lucifer's like a snake biting the horse, and the syntax, the dialogue taken directly from the comic book, fantastic, right? It's a really interesting and somewhat beautiful recreation of it. Before we get there, we have Sandman walking through hell and again recreating bits in the comic that don't pay off until much later on. I doubt they pay off in this season, but again, that'll be one of the good standalone stories. So at the same time, we have a great creepy story where the person who owns the helm, who basically is a supervillain. But as the Sandman's kind of wandered away from the DC universe, played by, who was it? David Thewlis, right? Plays Dr. Destiny, John D. Completely bonkers. He's just been given this special amulet that will get him out of that will stop him being hurt in any way. So he uses it to break out of his insane asylum, and he ends up meeting a good Samaritan who takes him to his storage unit to get his ruby. The ruby used to belong to Sandman. It is last of his tools, but it's been altered that it will zap anybody else who touches it. And it's this really tense extended sequence where you don't know what's going to happen. This really nice woman realizes she's been kidnapped by a serial killer, right? And she's like terrified, and it just plays out really, 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 really well, with a good ending, like a nice twist ending, which gives you kind of a much better idea of the character. Devin Phillips really, really is fantastic in this role. So one of the big issues that everyone was excited to see was the next episode, 24/7. In the comic, that was split over two issues, and here it's one episode. And again, it really works. It works as well as it did in the comic, maybe even better. It's basically what happens is he spends a day in this diner, recreating reality, recontrolling reality with this ruby. You know what? No, I will read the Wikipedia of it. Because there's so much you can get into this, but I want to see what they pull out. So John, now in possession of his ruby, takes refuge in a local diner. There he uses his ruby's power to drive the patrons and the staff insane. Well, not really. His idea is he wants to get rid of falsehoods from the world, and he wants people to be honest. So you have all these layers of social convention, and these things that are unsaid that people live with their entire lives. Falling away, right, and just making insanity happen. It goes from discomfort to psychological horror to extreme horror, right? And it's with people like cutting bits off themselves. Yeah, I was going to say fantastic. So somewhat disturbing. I wouldn't say fantastic as in, oh yeah, I like seeing somebody chop their fingers off slowly. But that's the sort of thing that you get in it. Eventually, Morpheus shows up after being incapacitated by the changed ruby, and it rounds out the story arc. Right, this is the end of the initial story arc, but there's a great epilogue issue which they then recreate perfectly, absolutely perfectly, almost, in the next episode, The Sound of Her Wings. So The Sound of Her Wings debuts the race swap death. Now, this is something we need to talk about, because I don't like it, and I'm going to explain why I don't like it, but I can't complain about it. There's no, I can't say, oh, this doesn't work, because, and I really wish I knew how I would react to it had I not read the initial comic. And that's how I try and go into it, right? I go say, hey, how would I like this without, the baggage that I got? Because I want to give it, as fair a shake as humanly possible. So the idea with the Endless, Sandman's family, right? Dream's family, is they're all have the same kind of look of being very, very, very white, right? Very, very. In fact, Neil Gaiman says we're a bit worried that we didn't white up enough Tom Sturridge. In this, he's a bit more natural. That's fine, right? That's fine. But the problem is this. Now, I think Neil Gaiman has white guilt, right? White guilt, which is a terrible thing to have, which is something based on a complete lie, which the Western world is intrinsically racist and built on racism, and our cultural visual identity is replete with unconscious bias, which I just think is somewhat nonsense. I mean, it doesn't really hold together. I mean, listen, if there's unconscious bias spills into genuine bias, I'm 100% with you. Anyway, so Neil Gaiman says, oh, look, here in the Western world, we view black people very differently from white people. So what we're going to do is we're going to change a very white character into a black character, and we're going to pretend there's been no change whatsoever. And if you mention the change, we're going to call you a racist. But you're changing it because you say there is a difference between being white and being black, right? You say there's a huge difference, and we got to change it to re-educate people not to be racist. They're not freaking racist, okay? And I think they all triggered into insanity by Brexit and by Trump and by going because their whole worldview just blew up in front of their faces. And the only way they could process it is by going, oh, because they was really racist. No. And it's I think it's racist and bigoted to call those with political differences from you. Politics that seems to be far more successful at making people happy and causing affluence and world peace. I mean, have you noticed that what those few years were in between Obama and Biden? You know, that where we had an incredible economy and world freaking peace, as opposed to before and after where we didn't, right? But that's also it's Neil Gaiman saying that we need to change the perception of people being white and people being black by pretending there is no difference between being white and black. And in this character, it just very, very, very jarring. That being said, however, the actress who plays it, unlike the actress who plays Lucian, really pulls it off. I'm trying to find the name of the actress. I was very nervous about her because I've never heard of this actress before. Where is she? Where is it? I'm trying. I got a list of all of the cast here. Not Edith Cripps, Fate Mother, Fate Crone, Fate Maiden. No. Where's Death? Where is Death listed here? It's like no, not her. Not Despair. Really? They don't have Death written here? Gwendolyn Christie, Morningstar, Lucifer Morning. She was great. I mean, she was really, really great. You know what? I'm going to do it. I think it's important to find the name of this actress, if I'm allowed to say actress. So normally you could only say actress if the actress in question has a penis, right? If the actress doesn't have a penis, you're normally expected to say actor. So Death. Let me try and find. Okay, Kirby Howe Baptisti, right? So she does a very, very good job with the role, right? She has the empathy and she has a love and she has the emotion that drips out of the character, and she does a fine job in there. Okay, it really genuinely does. It's just very jarring because you know it's an expression of Neil Gaiman's existential angst based on complete falsehood and nonsense. And also I felt somewhat tokenistic hiring her and pretending that like the whitest character in the world is now black and we shouldn't mention it. That being said, that's counterbalanced by it being such an incredibly well-written episode, such an incredibly heart-wrenching, beautiful episode. I mean, like genuinely beautiful. So Morpheus in this episode is feeling a bit out of sorts, is moping around. And he ends up like hanging out with Death for the day, and she goes around collecting souls. And it's just basically she's there to be a kind face when people die before they move on. And it's just beautiful. I mean, relentlessly beautiful. Well written, well played, well put together. Everything about it is perfect. So much so that I could overlook, this really glaring bit of 2022. Which kind of breaks my heart because this thing should be an all-time classic, and it's just. Boy, is it going to age badly. It's going to be like looking at something with somebody wearing huge platform shoes and bell-bottom pants, right? It's like, wow, that aged very bad. It's going to be very, very, very noticeable, which is a shame. So that's half the episode. The other half of the episode fares, Death in it fares somewhat worse because we go back to the 13th century and she's still black and people are pretending that there's no difference. And that's really one of the biggest problems, with the show. When they go into history and they show there being black people and white people at exactly the same volume and same thing. There's no difference whatsoever in history. When we know there was, like in 19th century, it was very racist. You didn't get wealthy. I mean, you might have some, but it was abnormal, right? And it just seems like it sticks out like a sore thumb. But then she kind of moves off, and we're with the other story of. Morpheus and his friend hobgabbling. Here's a guy talking in an inn, and he says, I don't want to die. And says, okay then, you don't want to die. And he thinks after 100 years he'll be begging for death. He said, let's meet back here in 100 years. And the episode is they meet every 100 years. and it's about their relationship and how it builds up, and you get a lot more depth and interest in with the character of Morpheus. And again, it's somewhat heart-wrenching because he misses his one in 1989, his meeting in 1989, because he's entombed in that time and he's in prison. He can't get out. And you see the pain of the character, Hobgoblin. Does it say who plays him? Hang on. Bob Gablin, who was very, very good in this. Ferdinand Kingsley, never heard him, did a great job. Did a really great job. Great job with a good, interesting character. And you leave this episode feeling like we've wrapped up the first six issues, the first the arc. And feeling someone kind of uplifted moving on. And we get a little tease of what's coming next with the Doll's House, which is the next arc that I assume is going to take up the next 4 episodes. Loving the show, right? Really loving the show. No, I'm not. I think it's fantastic. I think it's beautiful. I think it's well done. I think it's just stabbed through the heart by being in 2022, right? And again, that's not to say that whatever her name is, whatever her name is, did a bad job, because I really want to be Kirby Howe Baptisti. I want to be clear that I think she did a fine job. I just think she was cast because of her skin color, and I think it demeans her, right? That's how I think it. I think I'm feeling somewhat icky about it. We do get, I think in this episode, we get the first look at Desire. Fantastic, again. This is the thing that really annoys me. There's really no need to put identity politics, to shoehorn identity politics into Sandman, because it was built with it in. It's a trans character, and it works perfectly that it's a trans character. And the actress, I don't know how they identify, absolutely pulls it off, and I'm intrigued to go forward. I'm intrigued because I watched the next episode already. So okay, but I'm going to do the next 4 in one video, because I think that's going to be one reasonably good arc to go with them. Anyway, it's a recommend. It would be a 10 out of 10 recommend. And it's not. I don't think I'm going, oh no, there's a black person, I don't like that. No, I'm saying, oh no, they're using a black person to make a white person feel good about themselves. And I really don't like that, right? I really genuinely don't like that. My name is Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe. And ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop.